43. I'm your host, Hernan, with my co host, Black Belt Professor Diego, and our special guest for today, Mahmoud Henderson. How are you guys doing? Salaam alaikum.
Like salam to barakatuh. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, mashallah. And I know it's been the last 10 days are a bit tough, and even today, this morning was a little tough getting up,
hmm
alhamdulillah. But I'm glad that you're with us today. Hey, Diego, you good? You can hear us? I don't know if you can hear us.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, D? I must be having some technical difficulties on that end, but it's all good. Let's get started on our end.
Awesome.
Mahmoud, welcome to our show where we talk about a little bit about Jiu Jitsu, MMA, and just our journeys to hope to help educate others who are starting their journey, know a little bit more about Jiu Jitsu, what to expect, and how to extend their love and passion for the art,
hmm
longevity, and so on and so forth. But today we wanted to talk about something that's important to both of us, right? Something that's
Yeah,
important
yeah.
to both of us, which is fasting. And we're fasting actually not just for health benefits, but
hmm
more so for a devotion to God, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
or the Creator, however you want to refer to Him. So we're actually doing that today, this month for the month of Ramadan, right?
hmm
Fasting for 29 to 30 days from sun up to sunrise. No water, no water, no food or anything like that. But at the same
Sure.
time, there's other parts of the fast that we do. So I wanted to just before we get started for the public to let them know a little bit of why we fast.
hmm
D, can you hear us now?
You, yes, Assalamualaikum.
All right,
Like
all
salam
right,
to
cool.
Well,
Pretty good about
Alhamdulillah.
yourself.
Alhamdulillah, that's good, man.
Alhamdulillah. D, can you put the phone horizontally? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So we can do that. Yeah, that was a lot better. Excellent. All right, so we wanted to just mention a little bit about um, why we fast, explain the purpose for it, and then we get into your story, Mahmoud. Want to hear
Okay.
about you and how you came to jiu-jitsu, and then you just competed during
I did,
Ramadan.
yeah.
So that for me is super interesting because I want to know how that is,
Okay.
and then talk a little bit about Belal Muhammad, who just recently fought Vicente Luque
hmm
during Ramadan. So that's interesting to me too. So, and then let's see if we can talk about the benefits of fasting because it's been very popular lately in in the public. People, very celebrities and athletes have been pushing for it. We'll talk a little bit about that. So,
Okay.
just to start it off, so fasting, we're fasting for the month of Ramadan. All three of us, alhamdulillah, we're all fasting for
hmm
the month of Ramadan. And really, what the fast is about is not just necessarily abstaining from food or drink just for the sake of abstaining for food or drink. Rather, it's a command from from the Creator. We believe in Allah, right, and the Creator of the heavens and the earth, right. And as Muslims, we believe that He has sent a prophet, Muhammad, peace be upon him, with a specific message, which we refer to as the Quran, right? And it's the direct speech of Allah, His God, to humanity, right?
Yeah,
Not just
yeah.
to a particular nation, but to humanity in general. And in this book, right, there is a specific command for Muslims around the world who observe, who practice Islam, to observe the month of Ramadan. And Allah mentions in the Quran that He has prescribed fasting for you, like He's prescribed fasting for the people before you, the nations before you, so that you may become more conscious of Him, right? So you can reach a
Yeah,
certain level
yeah.
of piety, right? كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون, right? So that you
hmm
can become, and this word tattaqun or taqwa, and for the guys, for the people that don't understand or don't know, it really means to be conscious of Allah, to be conscious of God. And that's really the main reason why we do it, so that we can not just purify our bodies through the fast, but also our hearts and souls, so that we can become more conscious and come closer and build a better relationship with God, particularly in this month, the month that the Quran was actually revealed. So that's really the main reason why Muslims are fasting, because of that belief and devotion to Almighty Creator, to God, and we sacrifice some things that we like, water and food primarily. But there's also other things that we also abstain from throughout the day. For example, like sexual intercourse, right? We stay away
Hmm.
from that. Also from trying to control our anger, right? We try to remain calm. We try to not curse and do things that really should really that are frowned upon, right? And I
Yeah,
think I
yeah,
remember there's this hadith that mentions that um, there's no reason, and I'm paraphrasing it. There's no, it's not worth you leaving water and drink when you can't control your anger, right? When you get angry,
hmm,
when you get upset, it's not worth it. So there's a lot more components to it. But obviously, the drinking and the fat and the food is probably the biggest one because that's most people know and see, right?
yeah,
So, but again, it's a spiritual purification, but there's also some health benefits. At the end of the
right.
day, there are a lot of health benefits for it, and and I'm sure that many of us are feeling that. Probably maybe
Hmm.
shed a couple pounds, or a couple pounds. But the cool thing that I want to talk about, and really this is the most. It's not we're not really a religious podcast, right? But it's awesome to be
Hmm.
able to have to educate the people about what it is because there's so many people that are curious. But we wanted to talk a little bit about the health benefits and
Yeah,
how you
yeah,
feel during Ramadan while
hmm,
training, still training actively, right?
yes.
So that's what we wanted to talk about today, really
Okay.
training while fasting.
Yeah,
So let's kick it off and say, Mahmoud, tell us a little
yeah.
bit about yourself. How'd you get
Okay.
into jujitsu, and what are you doing now as far as where you're training? And then we'll talk a little bit about the
Okay.
Ramadan and fasting. Cool.
Of course, of course. Yeah. Thank you for that introduction. So yeah, I was born in High Point, North Carolina. But I grew up in Saudi Arabia. I moved over when I was around 4 years old. My parents moved overseas, and we moved to the United Emirates.
Now,
Sorry, I went out a little bit.
there you go. You go.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, like I was saying, I grew up in Saudi Arabia, and I was introduced to Jiu-Jitsu when I was around 11, 12 years old. I was first introduced to karate actually and taekwondo, and I got into that at first. It was real fun. It was just something to stay active. And then I did a little bit of judo, and then around 12, 13 years old, we started doing the Gracie combatives. And that's when I really started gaining interest in jiu-jitsu. So doing the Gracie combatives, a lot of self-defense, how to defend yourself, and whatnot. And I wasn't into the sport jiu-jitsu at first. It was straight self-defense, and learning how to, defend yourself against bullies, especially growing up overseas in Saudi Arabia. It was a different environment, a different culture and whatnot. So it was something that my father got us into early on. Um, yeah, so after that, about 15, 16 years old, I had came back to the States and I started training in South Carolina for a little bit at a sports martial arts school. But was also focused on self-defense. I trained at a Pedro Sawyer school.
Okay.
Nice.
And yeah, the instructor, he gave me my blue belt when I was 16 years old. So at 16, I got my blue belt, and then I went back overseas, and I started competing a little bit over there. We went to like one of the first few tournaments in Qatar. We went to another one in Bahrain, and I was competing in adult divisions. I was like 16, 17 years old, and it was really fun, especially to try, my self-defense and my self-defense jiu-jitsu against, a sport jiu-jitsu. So that's how I got into it. And then I moved back overseas. After that. But when I moved back to the States, my bad. After that, and I went to college. And when I got into college, I kind of like stopped training for a little bit. So I
Mm-hmm.
stopped training for like the past 5, 6 years. And there wasn't too many schools near me. I moved to Greensboro, North Carolina. But then I moved to Durham, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Durham, Raleigh area, and I started training and with this team called G13. Um, Under Roberto Godoy. He's been teaching for like 30 years. I didn't know who he was at first, and he opened up his headquarters out here.
Nice.
And yeah, and it brought the love back to me for jujitsu, and I've been doing that for about a year and a half now. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's a
Mahmoud,
around
how
the
old are
world.
you now?
I didn't hear you, Diego.
How old are you now?
Now I'm 26 years old. So I've been training for like 6, 7 years now. Yeah,
Awesome, man.
That's what's up, man. Awesome.
yeah.
So I was curious. I know that you guys know each other even before. How did you guys
Mhm.
meet, Diego and Mahmoud?
I mean, I know
Yeah.
he was, I mean, and you were, I mean, you were young when I think we crossed paths, but mainly with his father,
Hmm.
because I was, I was teaching, and he was also already there, established, and also working, I believe, teaching as well, if I'm not mistaken. But that's how so it was with his father that we were training a little bit,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and that's how we started kicking off the jiu-jitsu over there. But I'll leave it to you as well, Mahmoud.
Yeah, I remember that. I think uh, I remember you coming over and teaching classes along with my father when I was really young. Yeah, and it was we were doing it. It's interesting. We were doing it on like the
On the
roofs of
rooftop, right?
house, a rooftop. Yeah, the rooftop
Yeah.
of the
That's
rooftop
cool,
of our
man.
houses and whatnot. Yeah, we didn't have like a gym area at the time.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
that was
jiu-jitsu
cool,
was
man.
very.
The Gracie combat. Sorry, man. The Gracie
Yeah, go.
combatives, man, was a huge plus, man, for both as like learning jiu-jitsu. It
Hmm.
was great being able to have that like information, that
Yeah,
style of teaching, because in Saudi Arabia you didn't have that much, right? So a little bit limited. So awesome,
yeah,
man. I'm
yeah,
I'm happy that you guys continued with all the
yeah, yeah.
jiu-jitsu.
Of course, yeah. You're right though. It gave us a fundamental base to start off from,
Yeah.
and learn jujitsu from like in terms of positions and whatnot. And I feel like that's helped me along the way, um, from that aspect. Yeah, that's
So
true.
when you competed with, in that adult division and in that sport aspect,
Hmm.
and you had, like you said, using your self-defense, your combatives, how did you feel? Because it obviously is a huge difference, right? From
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
who's training completely sport to that. How did you feel? Like, did you feel like you were able, so being that you have that now, a little bit more of a sport aspect now,
Hmm.
how does that compare from the beginning to now?
Yeah. I would say at that time I didn't really know, but I was more of a defensive player, and I was more focused on trying to get the positions before the submissions. Not saying that I don't do that now, but that was my main focus, in trying to get more of the positions and controlling my opponent. Obviously the different guards were a little different. I didn't know how to attack the different guards. Yeah, and some aspects like how to basically we so with the self defense it was imagining my opponent was a brute and he didn't know much jujitsu. Um,
Mm,
uh, and now comparing that now with the sport, it's a lot more different guards, different takedowns, and people playing different games and whatnot. So that's what I say would be the biggest difference is the different way of approaching your opponent. But I did do pretty well. I think I won one or two fights with
yes.
that, and alhamdulillah, it was
It's
fun.
big. I mean, the self-defense aspect is huge, man. And I think a lot
Yeah,
of us, we talk about this all the time, where the fundamentals is, it's missed a lot, in a lot of people's jiu-jitsu. But yeah, man, alhamdulillah, I'm very happy that you guys stuck with it. And I know that I know that you had a program in Saudi Arabia, I think, with your dad, an athletic
yeah,
club. Um,
yeah,
and I think it was a lot more than jujitsu. It was a lot of sports and other
exactly.
things. Did you guys bring that over also to the States, or?
Yeah, yeah. Alhamdulillah, my father he had started A3 Sports Academy to
Right.
teach sports to my friends and I because I was homeschooled in high school. So it was a way of getting us to socialize, get out the house and learn different sports and different activities. And he grew it to where they had around 30 or 40 kids doing different sports like basketball, soccer, frisbee. I think they did archery at one point. They were doing swimming, and
Right.
now
Yeah.
they're in the States and they're trying to bring the program and build it up in the States right now.
Is your dad with you now, also in the States? Is you?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So he actually moved to the same area about 20 minutes from me. I would say last year or a couple of months ago. He moved to the area. So when I moved to Durham and Raleigh area, I started the program and I'm trying to build it back up before he came over. So as my family moved over here, now they're trying to help me build it up as well, and we're trying to get it established here.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
I mean, I got more questions for you,
What's
man.
your
If
Mahmoud, what's your
Go ahead.
dad's name?
Shahid Henderson. Yeah.
Ah,
yeah, yeah, you
I
see
didn't
him
want to
in the
put two and two
photo.
together. I didn't want to put two and two together because you
Hmm.
never wanted to assume. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've known you for a long time since he was with dealing with Diego when they were back in Riyadh and stuff. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's the same program that
Hmm.
you were, or almost similar, that you were helped start, right, Diego? Because I remember you telling me back in the day that you had some kids come over to your
Yeah,
flat.
it was yeah, it was
Oh wow.
along those lines, and then we started training, and then when I got my blue belt, we went back, and there was more information that we were able to. There was another purple belt in that area we were
Yeah.
working. Chad Learning. He was the highest belt in that area. What so,
Hmm.
but it was
Yeah.
cool because your dad is mashallah, he's tall. He's the whole like, hey, jujitsu
Yeah.
can beat up bigger guys type of thing. So this is where I was like, yeah, I can beat this big guy up.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
that's where,
Alhamdulillah.
like, yeah, man, that's how it all, like, started coming together. And yeah, awesome, man. That's
That's
awesome.
cool.
Being that, don't mean to jump, but being that
Hmm.
we are talking about the whole fasting and all that stuff. Yeah, man, when you did this super fight,
Yeah.
your training, and were you already planning, like, before? Because I know it takes a little bit of time to train and to,
Hmm.
like, get ready for a fight. Were you already thinking about that before Ramadan, or as you got into it
Yeah.
um
That.
in it?
Yeah. That's a great question. So actually, 2 weeks before Ramadan, I went to do a IBJJF tournament. And I had planned to already start losing weight and cutting. So I did that tournament, and I was feeling really good. And I had cut down. So I normally walk around at like 160, 158 pounds, and I cut down to like 150, 151. So I saw this tournament, and I was like, I might as well do it if I'm going to be walking around at this, at this weight, especially with Ramadan helping, lose weight. And I feel energetic and lean and cut, and like, I feel really good when I fast, alhamdulillah. So I was like, I might as well do it. And I signed up. I signed up that month, the month before Ramadan, and knowing that we'll be in Ramadan, because I try to compete at least once a month, or
Nice,
sometimes twice if I can.
Nice.
nice, man.
Yeah, that's
How, how,
important
ma-
because
how
you're
long, how many, throughout, how's your training schedule throughout the week, or like?
Yeah, yeah. So right now I train every day, except Saturday, and that depends on if I want to go to an open mat or not. Even throughout Ramadan, I've been doing that, alhamdulillah. Because on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have our kids classes, and on Sundays as well. So I help teach the kids class at G13, and on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then on Fridays and Sundays we have our A3 sports, and I help teach those kids as well, along with my father. Um, but the training, I would say that I'm not doing as much in the daytime,
Yeah,
like afternoon and morning. Obviously because I'm fasting. And so my schedule throughout the day normally typically goes around Fajr time. After Fajr, after I get some food and whatnot in my body, I would go do a light workout to keep myself active. And then I wouldn't train throughout the day. But around 5 p.m., I would go teach the kids class, and then at 6:15, I would go to the fundamentals or the advanced class, and then after that, I would do the nogi class, and by that time, it's time to break my fast and whatnot. So
awesome, man.
that's how my days have gone.
So is your dad also training with you, or?
Yeah, they've been training. He does about 2 or 3 times a week. Even throughout Ramadan, him and my brother have been still training with us. It's more about keeping consistent,
Yeah,
and not losing those things. We don't do as many drills, and going, hardcore. But we do a lot of detail oriented, like position controls, positional sparring, um, and a lot of things to sharpen up our weakness in our games and stuff, and going over small details, especially during Ramadan, so we don't tire ourselves out during this
awesome.
time.
Do you feel like the jujitsu was something that made you connect with your father, with your family? Was it something that you guys are training? I mean, been training for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
As a benefit of between father and son, like something like, or not
Yeah,
really?
yeah. So me and my father were both really competitive, alhamdulillah. Like, hate losing. Like, sometimes, I hate it gets bad. We always butt heads sometimes. But
Uh,
I would say that it definitely created a bond, and it helped strengthen our bond with my brothers and the rest of my family as well. Like my mom and my sister, they started training too.
oh, sweet.
So it's brought our whole family together, I would say, through jujitsu. So
Awesome.
yeah, it definitely has helped our relationship a lot, and we go back and forth off, and we try to be competitive when we spar as well. So it's real fun.
That's cool. That's cool, man.
Nice, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, kind of talking a little bit more about like fasting and
Hmm.
the sports component, especially at least in your experiences. So,
Yeah.
so from what you said, you're really trying to set up your schedule where you're training right
Hmm.
before you break fast. So, as soon as you're done with your session,
Yeah.
maybe a half hour later, maybe even an hour later, maybe even less than that, you're already ready to break fast so that you can replenish,
Exactly.
whatever nutrients, right? Get hydrated again and so on and so forth. But right before that, like, are you rolling like really hard?
Hmm.
How's that session going? Or is it more like light flow, positional sparring? Or are
Yeah.
you really going at it? Because you know, like you're gonna break your fast shortly after that.
It's really dependent on the day. Honestly, that's what I would say. Some days, if I'm feeling really good throughout the day, and I then, I would go hard. So I would say it would depend on the day. But after the first week or 2 weeks of Ramadan, when my body starts getting used to fasting,
Hmm.
then I've been able to push myself some more. So that's what I would say. At first, it was a little tiring, and I wouldn't go as hard. But since then, since the first week, I would say, since my body's been used to it, it got used to it really quickly. I was able to go hard and keep training. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny because um, I remember talking to a friend of mine, and they mentioned that working out, like really like exerting your energy, like not necessarily just jiu-jitsu, but working out in
Hmm.
general right before you break fast has like some good health benefits. You actually feel more energetic right
Yeah. Yeah.
before that explosive exercise, whether you're lifting or running or in this case jiu-jitsu. You
Hmm.
have it's like just a different feeling.
True.
um
True.
whereas if you've eaten throughout the day, even small meals, small healthy meals, and then you come into the session and there's something like that kind of drags you a little bit, right? That kind of brings you
Yeah.
down a little
Yeah.
bit. Have you felt that? Is that something that you felt before?
Yeah, I would say I definitely felt that, especially I know I'm jumping a few steps, but especially in my super fight, I felt that I thought I would be a little bit more tired than I was, but I wasn't. One thing that always runs through my head when I was younger, I watched a clip on a basketball clip on Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm a huge basketball fan,
All
and
right.
he did really well during Ramadan, and he talks about how, like I said, he was very energetic throughout that time,
Yeah.
and that always goes through my mind. And I think like it's a mental thing. If you mentally prepare yourself, and like you mentioned, if you exert your energy and stuff, you can do it.
Yeah. And do you have other people, other Muslims that would train with you in the same gym?
Hmm. Yeah, we have two, I would say, one or two. Yeah, but at the A3 gym, all of them are Muslim.
Okay.
So they've been fasting as well.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So I was gonna ask because my question is, have you seen? I know everybody's approach to Ramadan is somewhat different, right? It's their
Hmm.
own experience during that month, and
Yeah.
nobody's really obligated to do anything. But there is, at least from my experience, many Muslims who are active or fairly active, at least in the context of jujitsu, because that's kind of the world that we live in. They
Hmm.
take a break, right? They'll take a break from really training. And I was talking to one of my students, and we were talking about this, and he's saying that it's just a weird mindset as to why people think that um, they can't work out or they can't train, they
Hmm.
can't do jujitsu during Ramadan. Like, what's changed? What's changed during
Yeah.
the rest of the year? Other than, yeah, you're not drinking or eating anything throughout the day. But one thing to kind of clarify for the people who are listening, who will listen to it, is that
Hmm.
we fast from sun up to sundown, but before that we have a pre-fast meal, right? Which we call
Hmm.
suhoor, right? The pre-fast meal.
That's true.
And during that time, right, you should put something in your body, primarily water. Some people have dates. Some people go all out, right, and they'll have a huge meal before they open the fast. Usually, I'm doing mostly like maybe a bowl of cereal, if anything.
Hmm.
Most likely, drinking a lot of water, some
Yeah.
fruit or something like that to kind of keep me,
Hmm.
replenished throughout the day, right? So this,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to make sure that people don't think that we eat like
Yeah.
dinner like once you break fast and then you have nothing until you open the fast and then you go the rest of the day. No, most people probably eat right before the time comes in to start opening your fast. So it's usually like a what
Hmm.
about anywhere between 10 to 16 hours depending on the year, depending on your place on earth,
Hmm.
where you're not fasting. But for me, it's
Yeah.
like it's always been weird that I always encourage my students, still train. We still gonna have class. We're still gonna, be
Yeah. Yeah.
relatively active. We might maybe slow down the intensity. I do a lot of self defense during the month, so it's not
Okay.
like aggressive.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still, people don't come. Obviously, this might be other dedications. People going to Tarawih, right, or the night prayer, the long night prayer, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
just can't make it. But the mindset that I wanted to talk about is that I shouldn't be working out during the month. But for me,
Hmm.
it's like, well, nothing's really changed other than you not eating. And one of the things that I've noticed, at least for my personal self, is I usually do intermittent fasting without really wanting to do intermittent fasting. It's just the way my body works, right? I
Hmm.
eat
Hmm.
usually later in the day. I don't eat breakfast. I probably rarely ever eat breakfast. I usually will eat like during the day, if anything, or wait until dinner to have my only meal, right? But it's a hearty meal, right? And then after
Yeah.
that, just
Yeah.
go the rest of the night without it. So usually, I guess, like in that sense, if you're looking at the the, the duration of time where you're not eating, it's relatively the same compared to Ramadan, other than that
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
specific time during the month of Ramadan or during our Islamic fast, because there's other days that you can fast outside of Ramadan. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so for me it's like well, nothing's changed other than the time
That's true.
setting, right? So I'll
Hmm.
go at it.
Hmm.
Have you experienced that? Or I know that since you're
Yeah.
training with other Muslims, some of them say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take a break for this month.
No, that's a great point. And especially like you said, the mindset, it's a mindset of choosing whether or not you want to. The only thing that's changing, like you said, is the food, primarily. Um, well, we gave our students the option. We did a survey and gave them the option to choose if they wanted to continue or not.
Mm,
That's mostly what we did. So we gave them the choice. And alhamdulillah, everybody said that they wanted to, so we continued with that, and that's why we continued. Um, we needed like a 60 or 70% commitment to continue. And if they agreed to, then which they did, and we continued doing it, doing class. Yeah.
I think
nice.
it's a great time to continue training, during fasting and even outside of this month. And just to add, like I know a lot of folks, they think so. Intermittent fasting in general, for a lot of in the general community, is no eating, but they still consume their coffee, their tea, their water.
Yeah.
Just to clarify that, yeah, it's in addition to no eating, there aren't any supplements. There's no water. There's no drinking. There's nothing to give you pretty much any sustenance throughout the day, right? Because
Mhm.
so that's a huge difference, because I know a lot of the intermittent fasting that people do, that is now very, very popular.
Yeah.
That I mean, I'm sure that it was in the past, but now it's more, it's advertised a little bit more widely or whatnot. So but yeah, there's no food and there's no drink, in addition to no vitamins, nothing that's, again, to give you any sustenance or energy throughout the day.
Hmm.
So but I think it's huge. We had a few guys compete last year. And honestly, I mean, for myself, I didn't. I took it where it wasn't. I wasn't able to do what they did, which I applaud them, man, because imagine no drink, and even for yourself, no drink, no water, no food, and exerting the energy that a competition gives you just in general, right? Even
Yeah,
while you're
yeah,
drinking water and you're not fasting, you're
totally.
you're depleting yourself so much in a competition. So it's huge that one, there's huge benefit, right? And I feel like during this month, or like like you said, you feel lighter, you feel leaner, you feel more
Hmm.
energetic. I feel like there's and then call it what it is, but I think there's a nice blessing in that, right? Where you're getting that extra energy, right? Even without
Yeah, yeah,
the food and drink, so I think it's a huge benefit to train while you're fasting,
Yeah, and this
yeah,
is, and you can do it, and you can always do it, or approach it in a smart way, right? And like, for example, you mentioned, Mahmoud, that you're training at a specific, you have a specific schedule where that
yeah,
benefits you,
yeah.
so that you're not really going all day working out and then basically, not being able to replenish your body right away. For
Hmm.
example, Saturdays are probably the worst days for me, because I'll teach class, and
Hmm.
I'll train a little bit. Probably not go really really hard, but that the rest of the day I'm feeling it, because now your mouth is dry, you're a little bit dehydrated. But usually, um, during the weekdays, it makes sense, because I'll train from between 6 and 7,
Hmm.
7 to 7:45, 7:50. Right now, where you're breaking fast, you got about 45 minutes to kind of wait before you can take some nutrients. So it makes sense doing it around that
Yeah,
time, right? Right before
yeah, yeah.
iftar, right before we break our fast. But
Exactly. Good point.
training smart. But one of the things, and it's not to be critical about people who don't want to train
That's
during,
true.
obviously that's for them, it's their choice, and obviously there's more important things that you can be
Hmm.
doing during the month to benefit during the month. Obviously that spiritual, um, cultivation and investment, that time investment, into your spiritual connection with your creator. That's obviously, encouraged. But the only thing that I is to clarify is just the
Yeah,
mindset that I can't do it because I'm fasting. That's
yeah,
the answer that I
yeah.
want to answer. Is to say, yes, you can technically, if you do it smart, and actually there is some benefits to it. So I wanted to list some of the benefits of fasting
Okay.
for the public.
Yeah, yeah.
Something that I pulled up, and this is more on like the physical benefits, not. And we already mentioned a little bit about the spiritual. But because we're talking about jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, I want to talk a little bit about the physical benefits. So the first one is the fasting, or fasting in general, right? But specifically for the
Hmm.
fasting during Ramadan, it helps you detox your body, right? So you have a lot
Hmm.
of solids and liquids that are kind of staying in your body for a very very long time, and sometimes they might be harmful. You might find that you get bloated, after you eat something, and you're bloated for a couple of days, or maybe you start getting blemishes or blotches on your skin, because there's some
Yeah.
type of counter reaction, right? Unhealthy reaction to something that you've eaten, and it stays within your body, right? It takes a couple hours to a couple days for that food to really get out of your system completely. And it's, remember, this thing is traveling from your mouth all the way through your stomach, all the way through your
Hmm.
intestines, and obviously out the door. But so since you're slowing down the intake of food, it helps kind of your body regulate and detox all that nastiness that's there. It helps you,
Yeah.
improve your functions and your organs, and really clean your digestive system, improves blood circulation, and just kind of releases all that nasty toxins that are there, right? So that's
It
one
does.
major benefit for fasting, right? The second one that they have here is appetite suppressant. So one of the biggest, issues that we face as humanity, right, in many of these modern Western world, is that we have access to food at any time, right? You could go out the door and you got a Chick-fil-A right here, you got a Burger King, you got this. Obviously, many of us probably don't eat that stuff, but even fast food, halal food, right? That it's like right around the corner. I mean,
Yeah.
you got the grease trucks, you got the platters here and there and stuff like that, and even at home, we've been accustomed to eating probably a lot more than what
Hmm.
most human beings in history probably should be eating, right? I mean, we were talking about this the other day with my student again. It's like we're eating hearty meals every single day, whereas, and let's keep it in the context of Islam, where maybe the companions would probably eat small meals, what they were
Hmm.
able to have. And usually, if you read like in history, they usually had, um, a form of soup, some type of soup with maybe some light bread, They rarely ate meats, mostly on special occasions. One, because it wasn't easily accessible, right? It wasn't the way it
Yeah.
is now, where you can just go down to the supermarket and grab a pack of chicken or whatever it is. Um, and they would for special occasions. So they would mostly have some type of liquid diet, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time with some bread or something like that, right? Fruits, right? Natural foods, right? And it was always small portions, right? They wouldn't overindulge in the food. We've been trained, conditioned to kind of think the other way. 3 meals a day is what you need, right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and in between
Mm-hmm.
is all your good snacks. Here's your pyramid. Follow it, right? That's not
Yeah.
really how people
No.
lived in the past, right?
No.
So because we've eaten so much, our stomachs stretch, right? And that's why many people get that surgery where they're clipping their stomach or putting a clip on there so that they can control their intake, so that the stomach is
Yeah.
smaller and they start to lose weight, right? Um, but if you really practice, there's a beautiful thing, and Diego talks about this all the time, which I really love, is eating in moderation. And that's
Mm-hmm.
part of our religion, part of the Deen of Islam, where you eat in moderation, right? And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, mentioned eat in thirds, right? Have you heard
Yeah.
you've heard
Yeah.
this hadith, right?
I have. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, eat, 1/3 of food. So save your stomach for 1/3 for food, 1/3 for water, and the other one third for air. But if you're putting it all just food, no room for air and no room for water, but you still want to stuff that in there, you're gonna obviously get bloated and extend your stomach out. And the more, and it really, like, your stomach's kind of like a muscle. The bigger it gets, the more food I can put into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I once it's stretched out and I only put half of it, your body's gonna be like, hey, I can still put a little bit more, and you keep on,
You're
and
gonna
it
get hungry.
stretches. Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So Ramadan really helps us to suppress that food, that desire to eat, and it actually it kind of reduces the size of our stomach, right? And at
Yeah.
that point, you start losing a little bit of weight, maybe some of the fat that you've built up around the waistline. You start using that because those are technically your reserves, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start shedding some of those pounds, right, and using some of that stored fat in your body to actually supplement your lack of supplement your intake and convert that into energy, and that's what keeps you going too. And that's probably why I do well during Ramadan, because I got a whole lot of that, and I'm capable of doing well. The other thing
No.
is it helps with your metabolism.
Yeah. Yeah.
It helps with your metabolism. Obviously, we talked a little bit about the weight loss, and the last point that they made here, um, is two more points. Sorry, is the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
It helps with your immune system, increases your immune system. And because they say that the immune system, since it's comprised mostly of white blood cells, fasting, and it helps your body recycle any of those old white blood cells, and which basically means that you're going to feel more healthy and have a better, robust immune system. And then blood circulation, blood pressure, it decreases because your body's taking in less salt, right? And because you're kind of removing all that unneeded salt from your body, it helps lower your
Mm-hmm.
blood pressure as well. So these are all these beautiful health benefits. I mean, there's so much more. Improving
Yeah. It's a lot.
cardiovascular function, health, mental health, blood sugar. There's so many things that
You know,
actually help benefit.
one of the things that, when this whole, like you were saying, everybody's conditioned to eat, 3 meals a day, in between you're eating snacks and you're eating, and I, for some people it works, for others, it may not. But the whole moderation thing, and uh, so where I feel that, you can pretty much eat whatever you want, right? Because diets are usually like fads for some people, right? They come and go.
Right.
Some
Yeah.
diets don't work for everyone, So at the end of the day, just kind of listening to your body, being able to and which Ramadan helps, right? Because again, like you're saying,
Yeah.
you're suppressing, you're already cutting things out for for a specific purpose. But that way, like being able to eat pretty much whatever you like. And I think jujitsu, like I tell people, and I mentioned this in the chat the other day, where you know um you can eat whatever you want if you're training as much as you're training, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
you're burning it off. And I'm not saying like to go out and eat the whatever garbage is outside, but at the end of the day, technically, you can not you don't have to restrict yourself in a way that
Yeah.
it's because there's some people who harm themselves in such a way that they restrict themselves from they go into a specific diet and they restrict themselves from any so from good fat, right? From good things that come from eating meat, or eating other things that they may think as bad in that moment or in that diet because it's categorized as something. So
Hmm.
because that's also stressful. That's also
It
a
is.
challenge where you have to kind of measure everything out and kind of see what you like, because once it breaks, once you do get consume that extra dessert, it kind of breaks everything down. You kind of lose everything. So, but with that whole, like, being said, like, were you've been training for a while,
Hmm.
were you fasting? So the schedule that you have now, did it
Hmm.
did it um did it happen like in the past as well, like in previous years, or is it something like this year that you felt like, hey, I've been training a lot more, for the past year? I have more, the school that's nearby,
Yeah.
or was it like this before as well for you?
Um, I'll say this is probably one of the first times that I've done this. That's what I'll honestly say. And going back to food and intake, I try to focus more on like eating lots of fruits and veggies and protein and whatnot to keep myself energized.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say. This year is one of the first years that I thought about it more, and I tried to plan out my meals, and meal prep and stuff. But like you said, with jujitsu though, it has allowed me to have some leeway and to eat what I want sometimes and eat, a little bit more.
And I
So yeah,
think you need
that's
that, right?
yeah,
I think you need that, like that freedom, right? Because sometimes the restriction is gets a little bit, it gets a little difficult, And but I
yeah,
think like jujitsu gives we all know, and we're biased to it, but we all know the intensity that jujitsu gives, and the work that you get just by a few rounds, right? A few rows
hmm,
that you get in the class. So you're exerting a
yeah,
lot of energy, and
yeah,
I'm not sure, like, there's hit training that a lot of people do, and this is pretty much what you're doing, right, in the rolling, right, because you're going up and down in your intensity, in your from the mental, from the emotional, from the physical. So I think you're burning off a lot more, and it kind of balances out, what you doesn't mean like, you can eat whatever again, but
yeah,
it
yeah,
does give you a little
yeah.
bit more of that freedom and flexibility.
It
Yeah,
has, it has.
no, I agree, and I do agree with the whole concept of eat what you love, eat what you like, but eat it in moderation, and obviously increasing some healthy options as well, but not necessarily having to be so drastic, like adopting a particular diet, a keto diet, or a
Yeah,
pescatarian diet, or whatever it is. Obviously, eating in that healthy balance and moderation. Obviously, there's some things that probably should be leaving off. Like, you shouldn't have a diet that consists of Mickey D's all day. And not to put down Mickey D's, but let's be real. I mean, you're not gonna if you eat Mickey D's. I mean, it was proven
yeah.
in Supersize Me, man. If you if you've seen that, it's not gonna
I
be
have.
healthy. Yeah, it's not a
It's
healthy
not.
choice. But doesn't necessarily mean you can't have a Mickey D's meal if that's what you like.
Yeah.
Once a month, maybe. Although, if you look at that we just watched it like a couple months ago. Showed our kids
Okay.
about it,
Yeah.
and that's why it's fresh in my mind. All the nutritionists that they had interviewed, none of them, I would say the majority of them, sorry, the majority of them said never eat Mickey D's. And these are
Hmm.
professionals in their field. And maybe
Hmm.
one of them said you can have at least once a month, right? At most, right? But most
Yeah.
people make it, something that they have on a regular basis, right? And but that's that. But even with jujitsu, it's really kind of like a numbers game, right? Calories in, calories out type of thing. So you want to be able to burn more calories than the calories that you put in. Because if I'm putting in more calories and not really burning it, then that's the
Hmm.
problem, right? And
Yeah.
wherever those calories come in from, I guess that's not.
But
It's maybe that's not something that you really need to be concerned about. But obviously,
That's
if
true.
you have a Mickey D's meal, and I hate to go into Mickey D's and bash them. Sorry, they're probably not going to be sponsoring the show or anything. But if you have a Mickey D's burger where it's like 2,000 calories, guess what? That's the only meal you're going to have during the day, because
Yeah. Yeah.
you shouldn't eat more
Yeah.
than that, right? Because if
Yeah.
you're
That's true.
exactly, if you just kind of go counting your calories, right? But
Yeah.
when your case where you're eating healthy food,
Hmm.
um, balancing it out, fruits
Yeah.
and
Yeah. You're
veggies,
good.
you can eat
Yeah.
a lot more, feel more healthy, and the body responds much better to something that's natural versus processed and stuff like that. So, but
Yeah.
I was going to ask, and I think that Diego had kind of alluded to that, was what, and you mentioned that, maybe go into a little bit more detail, is um, now that you're competing more. And
Hmm.
it looks like you're getting a lot more serious with your jujitsu. You're actively
Yeah.
competing. You said you're doing once a month, maybe sometimes twice, um, routinely outside of Ramadan, like what is your meal planning or preparation look like? What type of meals are you having? How is
Yeah.
that going? Are you ordering them from a separate person, having them delivered, or are you cooking it yourself? Like, what are you doing?
So it's been a little bit of a mix of both. At one point at the beginning of last year, I was ordering the meal plans and had them prep them, for myself. And that had worked out a little bit. It can get a little pricey, so that was one of the issues. But then I started cooking a little bit and trying to cook what I was ordering, um,
Oh,
and mostly like chicken and stuff. Can you hear me? Oh,
yeah, yeah.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. Mostly like chicken. A lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit. That's what I really enjoy. Some brown rice noodles and stuff. That's been
Nice.
some of my favorites to eat. Um, and it's sort of like a shameless plug, but I've also been black seed oil
And
gummy bears.
so I was going to actually ask about that, and that was
Yeah,
going to be my
yeah,
next
yeah.
question about that. Yeah, we'll
hmm
talk about that, but finish your thought initially.
No, yeah. So having those as well has been really good because they're
Nice,
healthy. They balance me out. Alhamdulillah, they're halal too, and that's been one of my favorite things
nice.
about my diet.
So that's interesting. You talk about the gummies because I was going to ask about that. You're
hmm
sponsored by these two companies, right? The
No,
first
alhamdulillah, yeah.
one is O Black Seed Oil, right? Is that correct?
hmm
Did I say that
Black
right?
black seed oil gummies.
Oh,
Yep,
Black Seed. Yep. And then the other one was the Urbanese Fresh Juices, right?
it
And
is.
I
Yeah.
and I'm gonna leave you, and I'm gonna give you an opportunity at the end of our segment to shout them out and stuff like that. But
Okay.
how have you? So obviously, so I've been a big fan of juicing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
do it as much because it's super pricey. I mean, if you do it on your own, I remember I bought the huge blender and like that industrial one that you can really get those juices out of there. But I barely use it because it's
Yeah,
so expensive. I used to do it
it
a
is.
lot more when I had less kids, right? And that's the
Yeah.
thing, man. I had less kids, and me and my wife would juice, and there was a time we were probably juicing like every day, and it was so beneficial. But
hmm
now it's really hard because 1 5 pound bag of carrots, it's like this much of juice.
Yeah, yeah.
And now you got 6 kids and everybody wants some.
What's
And I like,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly, now I don't have none for myself. And then there's a place near Baltimore, excuse me, in Baltimore, where I would go buy some juices during lunch and stuff like that, or get some acai bowls and stuff.
hmm
And it really, when you drink a juice, right, as a meal, it's amazing. You feel so refreshed, right? It's like you're
Yeah,
taking everything you would eating, but it's just liquefied, and you feel so good about it, right? How's your
yeah.
experience been with drinking fresh juices? And then we'll talk a little bit about the black seed, because the black seed I have a different opinion, but
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
but
So with the juicing, I did it for a little bit. I tried to go for a month or so. I try to do it when I'm trying to lose weight for a competition or trying to
yeah,
cut a few pounds. That's mostly when I do it. Like you said though, I feel so refreshed, especially after a training session or something, or before or in the morning or something. It's helped me a lot, and I don't feel as full, from eating.
yeah,
Um, like you said, it can get pricey. It gets pricey.
it
That's the
does,
biggest thing. It's time
it does.
consuming too.
Absolutely. If you do it yourself, but if you go buy it
Yeah.
from, for example, Urbanese juices, was it
Yeah, Urbanese
Urbanese
fresh
fresh
juices.
juices?
Fresh
Yeah,
juices. Yes, yeah,
something like
yeah.
that, or a company
Alhamdulillah.
very similar. They'll hook you up and
Alhamdulillah.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
They've been hooking me up. Yeah, especially
That's
this year. Alhamdulillah. One a couple of their kids, they train, and their parents, they're the local owners of it. So,
nice. That's what's
it's
up.
really good.
Nice. And then with black seed, there's so many beautiful benefits to black seed. Obviously, in our religion, black seed
hmm
is a very important aspect of is, I guess, the practices of Islam,
Yeah.
because there's a hadith that the Prophet, peace be upon him, he says that there's black seed is a cure for every disease except death,
No.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And right, so I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, right, from a straight belief perspective, that's like, wow. I mean, this is, and there's so many help. Even and earlier this year, we ended up getting COVID,
Mm.
um, and I was taking black seed, black seed. Like my wife was like, better drink the black seed. So we were
Yeah.
taking the
Yeah.
black seed just I think in the mornings
Uh,
or right at night, and it doesn't taste good. I'm sorry, it
no,
doesn't really taste good,
it
but there's
doesn't.
so many good benefits to it. We usually what we do is we'll put the black seeds in our smoothies, kind of
Yeah, and
liquefy
mix
that
it up.
there, and
Yeah.
then kind of go down a little bit easier. But there's so many health benefits to it. How's the gummies been for you, and
Yeah.
what's your take on the whole black seed?
Yeah. So alhamdulillah, the gummies, they're really delicious. So I was one of those who eating black seed by itself, it was just hard. And my mom would give it to me when I got sick as well earlier this year. But alhamdulillah, the gummies, it takes away that tough taste in your mouth.
Okay,
And it still has a little aftermath, but it's delicious as well. And because they're gummies, they have that sweetness to it.
nice.
So that's
I
why I
came
enjoy
out
it.
right. I came out at a good time. Sorry, guys. I got caught up. Yo, the gummies, man. I was about to ask you that too, man. I
Yeah.
as soon as I saw you post it, I ordered 2 packs of it.
Oh,
Oh, you
really?
got it. You
Yeah,
got it.
Mashallah.
man. I got it. Yeah, man. They're pretty good, man. They still have
Yeah,
a little kick, but
that's a little bit.
the elderberry does make a huge difference, man.
Yeah.
That's
Have
good.
you?
Yeah.
So you've been taking it, Diego? I guess I'm gonna have to jump in
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this,
yeah.
man.
I had, yeah, yeah. I bought it. But I didn't. When you posted it the first time, um, I saw that you posted it with the photo, or I
Hmm.
forgot what. But at that time you didn't have the code, so I was
Yeah,
like, man,
yeah.
this guy doesn't have a discount code. And then after you
Yeah.
posted it, but I already had it. But no, yeah, man, it's pretty legit.
Alhamdulillah.
It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
You,
Nice.
yeah, if you use the code, you get a discount on it. Alhamdulillah. Like I said, it's a Muslim-owned company, and they've blown up this year. And alhamdulillah, they started sponsoring some of my fights, and I told them
Nice.
I
Yeah,
was trying to get serious about it. And so, yeah, it's a good
that's what's up.
opportunity.
Are you taking that often, or just kind of like right before tournament? How's your
Oh, no, no.
intake?
No, I take at least once or two throughout the day. Or before, in the mornings, obviously fasting now.
Nice.
Maybe one or two at nighttime.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I need to get that because my wife. I mean, obviously, we believe in the benefits of black seed, but for me, it's the taste factor that I can't get
Yeah,
around.
the taste
Yeah,
is
it's
tough.
Taste is
The taste
bad,
yeah,
is
man.
tough, bro.
And I'm
yeah.
like,
The
man,
taste.
how can something so beneficial for you be so difficult to take in, right? How did they do it,
You
right?
gotta hold your breath.
Yeah,
You gotta hold your
Because
breath.
they lived by this back in the day. Like they were living
yeah,
by this.
that's true.
So it's funny. I actually even use it. Almost like an ointment also, like if I have like a
Hmm.
joint pain, I'll rub it like
Yeah,
as an ointment.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
good for skin. It's good for everything, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, it's a
yeah.
good moisture. I mean, the liquid, not the. You're not gonna rub a gummy bear on you, right?
I mean, some people might, I don't know,
Yeah,
but
but no,
No.
yeah, man. Yeah, it's. I'm glad I jumped in on that. Like, yeah, man, it was. So really, I'm really happy that they have that. Hopefully, inshallah,
Hmm.
they make a huge. They keep growing because, it is it is a game changer when it comes to,
It
like you
is.
said, the benefits and now being able to consume it a little bit easier.
That's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's that consuming. It takes away all that, the nastiness from taking it. I did
yeah,
want to say though, I wanted to mention earlier, my father has always spoken highly of both of you, alhamdulillah.
oh really?
And like
Mashallah.
even like I think before you asked about the interview, he was talking to some brothers about how, when you came over to the States, and he was speaking about, inshallah, coming up and coming to your gym as
That's
well.
what's up.
So
yeah, man.
um
Yeah,
there's a
hopefully, man, I go visit you, man. Maybe take a
yeah,
trip down by
inshallah.
you, man. To go and train. I know I hit you up before, so that way we
Yeah,
can,
yeah, yeah.
set something up. But yeah,
Mashallah.
for
So
Mashallah.
sure.
there's a tournament, and I think in Maryland or Virginia, I can't remember, but somewhere up towards you guys. And inshallah, I'll be doing that. And I will stop by
Yeah,
if I
You know
can.
which tournament
yeah.
it
Let
is?
me know so that I'll go down. And
You know what
Um,
tournament it is?
it's a payout tournament. I'm not sure. I need to look at it. I skimmed it as I was going by now, and that's why I asked about your times at your gym and whatnot, because I had skimmed it. I saw it was around the similar times.
What month is it? When is it?
Next month. Next month.
Next month, May.
Mm, Yeah,
Okay, cool.
May.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
So
Yeah, yeah,
I'll let you guys know the details when I remember. When I look it up, inshallah.
yeah. That's what's up. Yeah, let me know. We're if it's like around Virginia, we're not that close from Virginia. We're up further north, Maryland. But I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it's
think it was in
still
Maryland.
okay. Oh,
Yeah.
if it's in Maryland, just let me know where. That'd be cool, and have you
Okay,
stop
I
by.
will.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay,
I
I
think
will.
yeah,
the guys would appreciate getting some additional roles from people from outside.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, that'd be good for them, man. But yeah, man, back to
also,
the. Go
well, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead. D. You were
No, no,
saying?
no. Being that you mentioned the whole, like, training with other. Do you cross train? Do you, like, jump into other gyms to train?
I
Or,
do. I do. I think it's been beneficial for me in my training, feeling other bodies and whatnot. I've
absolutely.
gone like an hour, 2 hours to different gyms and training out. I've gone to all the gyms in the area. I know there's like too political sides to this. A lot of people are
Yeah.
like, no, stick to your gym, don't go anywhere. But I found a few friends and my brother, we've really enjoyed going to different gyms and training. For me, it's helped me test my jiu-jitsu out, especially being at a
Yeah.
gym. You go, everyone knows your moves. When I go test it out at a different gym and whatnot, I've
Yeah.
learned a lot.
Yeah,
How
I
do you
think,
guys
I
feel
mean,
about it?
yeah, I think, if you have your school, you have your team, you have the group of people who are supporting you, but then,
Hmm.
you need that. You need to be able to test those skills, with everyone, because everyone is also developing. If
Yeah,
we're just stagnant in one spot, like I said, you have your hub, right? But at the end of the day, you can benefit from other people's jujitsu, and you can always, it's a benefit to the team also, right? You come back,
yeah, yeah,
now you have a little bit extra skill that you can share, or different different approach to different to the technique. So yeah, man, I think
yeah.
it's huge.
That's
Is
true.
your brother is your brother older or younger, right?
So I have two brothers. I have two. One of them he got his blue belt. The other one, inshallah, he may be getting it this year. Isa and Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman, though, he's actually in DC.
Okay, I think I only met one of them. I don't think I met. Is younger one, right? You have who's the
I'm the
younger one?
so I'm the oldest of seven.
Oh,
You
okay,
met
okay.
the one after me. Probably Abdurrahman, and he's the
Abdurrahman,
one who was
yeah,
training.
Abdurrahman,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
We're in DC.
Um, I think Falls Church, or right outside of DC, Falls Church
Oh, that's Virginia. Yeah,
area.
yeah, yeah. Where's he
Yeah,
training at?
Virginia. Well, he's not training. He's actually, alhamdulillah, he got a job out there. So he's trying to get back into training. He stopped when he left here. So I don't know if he's training out there at the moment. I don't think so.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
familiar with that area. I used to train at a gym that was in Alexandria. It's
Mm,
probably not that far away from there.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see.
He's sorry, he's 5 minutes from the 50/50 gym, Ryan Hall
Oh,
gym.
Ryan's. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
Nice.
he's trying to go up there, but his schedule, he's really busy.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. But yeah, man, try to make that
Yeah.
time to get to the mat, man. Everybody's
Yeah.
Yeah,
busy.
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, you have to.
As yeah, man. I think, like, again, just being able to look at. I tell these guys, some of these guys now, like, to look at jujitsu not as, you're gonna go and train, and like as a little bit more than just the training, right? Because it does
Hmm.
help with so many other aspects, right? And even if now that we're talking about connecting it to like Islam, and the way that we believe in our faith, the wrestling in the past, right? Trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
connect
yeah.
with
That's
that as
true.
well. So, it has so many benefits, man. Like, so,
It does.
so
It connects with
making it a
different people too.
long term thing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we're coming up on the hour, and I definitely
Okay.
want to be respectful of your time. And I know we probably could keep
Okay.
on talking about a whole
Oh
bunch of
no.
things,
Yeah.
but
This is I enjoyed it.
yeah, yeah, and I'm glad that we usually really restrict about talking not talking religion. But the cool thing
Yeah.
about this particular month and this particular topic is that it kind of brings both of them together, and that's something. I mean, I'm very passionate about jiu-jitsu, but I'm equally passionate about the Deen of Islam, and being educating people about it.
Yeah.
More so from an education perspective, right? Not
Hmm.
anything outside of that. So this was cool
Yeah.
that we could couple the two together and talk a
Yeah.
little bit about the benefits of it. Just 1 minute before, and I know it was on our topics and probably didn't get a chance to talk about it, but is just shout out to Belal Muhammad. I did
Yeah.
hit him up. I actually wanted him to be part of this show,
Oh
and
wow. Yeah.
he's busy. He's a busy guy. He probably ignored my my message, like, who the heck is this guy?
Yeah.
But the cool thing about him, for guys that don't know, for people that don't know, is he's obviously Muslim, right? With the name
Hmm.
Belal Muhammad, you can't go you can't be otherwise, right? And then the cool thing is he just recently had a fight, maybe not this weekend, the weekend before, where he was a
Hmm.
main card fighting Vicente Luque. um,
Yeah.
and he actually won, right? Unanimous decision.
Yeah.
He
He
won
did.
that fight. While he was while during the month of Ramadan, obviously I don't think he was fasting during the fight, but he was fasting, prepping up to the fight. And one interview that I saw was that he's had this happen before, and obviously
Mm.
he knows his responsibility as a Muslim, so he understands the sacrifices he needs to make, and
Yeah.
adjusts for that ahead of time. So kind of knowing into this fight, going into the fight, knowing that it's during Ramadan, he made some extra adjustments to kind of come in, kind of like what you talked about, is trying to
Yeah.
change your diet a little bit, so that way you feel healthier during the day
That's true.
and more
Yeah.
energetic during the day. And he got the win, right?
I
So
saw
shout
that.
out to
Yeah.
Belal Muhammad. But did you see the fight? Actually, see the fight, or
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw the fight and I saw his interview as well about that. So yeah, I follow him. He's a really interesting guy. I like the way he fights.
yeah, yeah. I'm hoping that this sets him up for some a bigger fight. Obviously he's been climbing the ranks for a while. 7 fight win streak. You know,
Yeah,
I would say he's an exciting fighter, but probably not what most fans that don't really
exactly.
understand MMA want. I mean, most of his wins have been on decision, but he's like he pressures people. He wrestles well and he
Yeah,
gets it done, right? But obviously
exactly.
people like the flash
They
and
don't want to see that.
they want to see knockouts and submissions, right? But at the end of the day, he's been doing well. But and one thing that people don't understand is that the higher you go up the ranks, the more difficult it is to just get that highlight reel because
It's
everybody at
hard.
that level is hard. Right? It's hard. It's everybody's good at that point, right? Vicente
Yeah.
Luque is a stud. I mean, he's a beast. And I quite frankly thought that Vicente was going to win, not to go against my brother Belal Muhammad because I was
Yeah,
rooting
he's
for him.
talented. Yeah.
But at the same time, Vicente is very talented and he got a KO win over him previously. So that was a pretty cool one. But I'm very happy for him. I'm hoping it sets him up. And very inspirational that he achieves this goal while fasting, right? While not letting
Yeah.
go of that, right?
Hmm.
And that's something that's super cool, important because technically he could have gone from his hometown. I think he's in the Midwest.
Hmm.
Could have set up his camp in California and said, "Well, I'm traveling, so I don't have to fast," right?
That's a
Right.
good point.
But he didn't do that, right?
He
Mashallah.
fasted.
And
Yeah.
shout out to him.
Kudos to him. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So last 30 seconds, Mahmoud, give us any shout outs that you have, I know you might want to shout your sponsor a little bit, tell us a little bit about where they can find you, follow you, and
Yeah.
anything you got coming up. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, thank you all again for having me. Inshallah, you guys can follow me on Instagram at KingMAH22. And then the links on my bio for the Black Seed gummies, it's on there. There's a code that you guys can use as well. There's also a link for the Urban Eats Fresh Juices. It's a local juice company that ships out everywhere. There's a code for them if you order a bundle. Like I said, I appreciate you guys having me on.
No doubt. And
Absolutely, man.
I think I saw a choke book right there somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot to say that. Yeah, alhamdulillah, I had to go get me
There we
one.
go.
The
Nice, man. I'm
choke
hoping
book.
that it's a benefit to you, man.
Yeah, yeah. I used it before my fight, the super fight. I went over my techniques that I've been going over the past month. And I appreciate you guys doing this because it's needed.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
Diego,
thank
last
you.
few words.
No, man, Mahmoud, man, is all it was nice seeing you. Please say hello to your dad, man.
I
Hopefully
will,
we get to train soon. And
inshallah.
yeah, man. I hope hopefully we finish off the month strong. And yeah, man, looking forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
And Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I know we've kind of been a little ghost these last few weeks, but we've been working really hard to set up the gym. Just to let everybody know, Rollstar Maryland is officially open. I've been posting pictures, so follow
Mhm.
us at rollstar.md. And you'll see pictures of our new facility. We're going to have our grand opening May 14th. So Mahmoud, if you can make it up the 14th,
That was the
you know,
weekend. Yeah, yeah,
okay, man,
Oh,
come
man.
through, man. We'll have
yeah.
a nice event.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hopefully, have a nice open mat. Trying to invite some black belts on and get some
okay.
people there,
Yeah,
get some good
yeah.
roles. So make sure you follow us, and that's the reason why we've really been working hard behind the scenes, kind of set up those things. And now Diego's also working on some magic behind the scenes as well. Hopefully,
Okay.
we'll post more about that later on. But hopefully, we'll keep it going. Probably we'll be back in the next 2 weeks. Fernando, our other co-host, just had a baby, so shout out to him and Kat, his
Mabruk.
wife, on
Yeah.
on Julian, the new addition, the third boy, the future black belts to the Merchant family. Shout out to our boy Fernando. And with that said, train hard, train smart, everybody. We'll see each other very soon. We hope you enjoyed and it was a benefit to you. And Mahmoud, salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thanks,
All
Take
right.
care,
Assalamu
brother.
Jazakallah
alaikum.
barakatuh. You
Boss.
too.
Take care, bye.